Je vous souhaite la belle journée.
I'm wishing you a beautiful day.
La statue de la lumière, c'est
The statue of light
avec le
is
culte de la lumière.
with the worship of light.
C'est une perfection et c'est une
It's a
beauté.
perfection.
C'est
It's a
quelque chose
beauty.
qui vient de Dieu lui-même.
It is
C'est
something
une
that comes from
révélation
God
de Dieu.
Himself.
C'est
It's a
pour ceux
revelation of God.
qui aiment
It
Dieu.
is
C'est
for
pour ceux
those
qui
who love
qui
God,
retournent
for
leur cœur
those
vers Dieu.
who
Le
are
cœur
bringing their
est
heart
quelque
back to
chose de
God.
fondamental.
The heart,
Alors de
it is something
retourner
that is
son cœur
fundamental.
et de
So
vivre
to
avec son cœur
give your
et
heart
d'appeler
and to live with your
l'intelligence qu'il y
heart
a
and to
dans le
call
cœur.
the
Alors on
intelligence
peut voir
that
les
there is in
choses
the
avec
heart,
l'œil du cœur,
so we
avec
can see
l'âme,
things
avec
with
les
the
mondes
eye of the
supérieurs.
heart, with the soul,
Et
with the
il y a
superior worlds. And
Dieu que tous les êtres ont parlé.
there is God,
que
and that
depuis
all
des
beings have
siècles
spoken.
sur la terre, les êtres se
For
tournent vers
centuries
cette
on
intelligence
earth,
supérieure
beings
de la beauté,
returning
de la
towards the
beauté,
superior
de
intelligence of
l'harmonie,
beauty,
de
of
l'intelligence.
goodness, of harmony, of intelligence.
C'est un ancrage.
So
Et
it's
le
a
culte de la
grounding,
lumière, c'est le culte
and
de Dieu,
the worship
c'est le
of
culte
light
de
is the worship
l'immortalité.
of God.
Et
It is
ce
of
que je vois,
immortality.
c'est
And
quelque
what
chose
I
de beau
see
qui vient,
is
qui est en train
that is
d'entrer dans
something
le
that
monde.
is beautiful,
Mais c'est
that
quelque
is
chose
coming, that is entering into the
qui n'a
world.
pas
It
réellement
is something
existé.
that
On n'a pas de
hasn't
modèle,
really
parce qu'en
existed.
réalité,
We don't really have a
Dieu
model,
va
because in
venir comme
reality,
quelque chose
God will
d'universel.
come like
C'est la
something
première
universal.
fois, en fin de compte,
It
qu'il
is
y
the
a une
first
religion
time,
universelle.
really,
Parce que
ultimately,
c'était
that
toujours
there
des
is a
religions
universal
avec des
religion,
peuples, avec
because
des
it was always
particularités. Mais là,
religion
on
was
parle
with
d'une
people
religion de l'âme.
and
Et qu'en fin de
particulars.
compte, c'est
Now
une
we are speaking of
appartenance de
religion of a
l'âme.
soul, and
Ça
that
n'a pas à
ultimately
voir avec
it
un
belongs
territoire, ça n'a
to a
pas à
soul.
voir avec une
It has
race,
nothing to do
ou
with a
alors un type, ou
territory,
alors
or with a race,
une
or with a
particularité
type,
physique. C'est
or
une
with
religion de
a
l'âme.
physical
C'est les
particularity. It's
êtres
with
qui
the
se
religion of
reconnaissent
the
comme des
soul.
âmes,
It's
au-dessus du
beings that
corps,
recognize themselves
au-dessus
with
de la
souls,
dualité, au-dessus des
beyond the body,
conflits.
beyond
C'est
the
une
duality,
religion d'un monde
beyond
supérieur,
conflict.
d'un
It's
état
a
de
religion of a
conscience
superior world,
supérieur.
of a state of
Et je
consciousness
peux vous dire,
that is
beaucoup d'êtres
superior.
parlent
And I can tell
avec
you,
des bons
many
souhaits
beings speak
d'éveiller leur
with
conscience, de
good
vivre mieux. Mais moi,
wishes
je
to
vous dis
awaken
que
their
l'homme ne
consciousness
peut
and to
rien
live
faire.
well,
Et
but
que
I
si
can't.
Dieu le fait,
I'm
ça
telling
se
you that
fait.
man
Si
can't
Dieu
do
ne le fait
anything.
pas, ça
And
ne
if
se
God
fait
is
pas.
doing it,
Et en
it is
réalité, il n'y en
done.
a qu'un
But
qui
if God
gouverne,
doesn't do
et
it,
c'est
it
Dieu.
will not be
Et
done.
son
And it's
gouvernement
only one
est
that
parfait.
governs, and it is
Et
God.
tout
And
est
His
juste, et
government
tout
is
est
perfect,
dans
and
son
everything is
harmonie, dans
just,
son ordre et
and
dans sa
everything in
volonté.
His in
Et tout
harmony,
est
in His order,
perfection.
in His will, and everything is
Ce
perfect.
culte de la lumière, il est très,
This
très,
worship
très
of light,
concret.
it is
C'est quelque chose de
very, very
concret, de
concrete.
réel.
It is
Il a
concrete, real.
commencé, et vous savez, il y
It
avait cette
started,
parole de
and you
l'archange
know,
Uriel,
there was the
et que
spoken words
la
of the
nation
archangel
essayait de se faire un
Uriel that
livre, et
said
que pour lire
the
ce
Essene
livre, il
nation
faudrait
would
aller
be a
chercher
book,
une
and to
lumière
read this book,
ailleurs.
you
Je
would
peux
have
vous
to go
dire que le
find
livre est
a
en train
light
d'apparaître.
somewhere
Et
else. And I'm
qu'on
telling you that this
s'aperçoit
book is
avec
starting
le
to
recul, parce
appear,
que
and
il
that
faut
we
du
were
temps pour comprendre les choses. On
perceiving.
s'aperçoit maintenant,
We
je
need time
m'aperçois
to
qu'en
look
réalité,
at
tout
things.
ça
And
a
now
été
I
fait par
can
cette
perceive
intelligence
this, and all
supérieure
of
de
this
Dieu,
has been
mais a
done by
amené
this
les
superior
psaumes, parce que
intelligence
vous
of
avez vu le
God.
travail
And
qu'on a
really,
fait
even
tous
to bring the
ensemble pendant
Psalms,
toutes
because
ces
you can
années,
see all the work that we have
d'appeler,
done
d'honorer
for
avec
all
une
these
grande
years, to
pureté,
call, to
alors
honor
d'appeler
with a great
pour
purity,
faire les psaumes.
to
Mais
call
en
for
réalité, c'était
and to
une
do these
protection, c'était
psalms.
un
But in
socle,
reality, it was a
c'était une
protection.
base,
It
une
was
base
a
pour faire apparaître
seal.
quelque chose
It was
de
a base to make
beaucoup
appear
plus grand,
something that
quelque
is
chose
much,
qui
much
peut nous
greater,
transformer.
something that
Je vais vous
can
donner quelques
transform us.
indications.
And I'm going to give you a few indications.
Je vais essayer d'être assez concret.
I'm going to try to be
Ça
very
va prendre
concrete.
des années maintenant. C'est comme un
It's
nouveau
going to take
cycle qui est en
years
train
now.
d'apparaître.
It's like a new cycle that is starting to appear.
Ce que je vois d'une façon très concrète,
What do I
c'est que le
see
culte de la
that is very
lumière, la
concrete
lumière
is that the
immortelle,
worship
la
of
lumière
light,
comme
the
le
light that is
corps,
immortal,
comme l'âme
the
de
light
Dieu, comme
like the
l'océan de
body,
Dieu,
like the soul of God,
vient
like
à
the ocean
travers
of
la
God,
statue.
comes through the statue. And the statue that is a stone that took a form. So this statue, she is a grounding. It is something that is much greater and higher in the subtle worlds because everything is alive. And around the statue we are constructing the temple of light. And inside of it there are writings, and all of this is perfect because the statue has appeared in the center of the round of archangels. It took 14 years for it to come. There's a moment after 14 years she appeared, and in reality, in the center, the temple of light is this. If I see ancient representations, then you have the temple of light. For there to be this temple of light, there needs to be an Essene village. And an Essene village is an earth that is consecrated. There is no words, because I can't tell you that it's a monastery, it's ancient words, but I can say it. But in reality, people that come into an Essene village, it's priests and priestesses that are in a worship. And the Essene village is an earth that is liberated from the earth. Meeting is an earth that is offered to God. And God is what is most important for us. So, the worship comes in the center like a permanence. You can visualize it. You have the worship. Meaning, you have the statue that is the representation of God. And this statue is a stone, but in reality she's animated. And she's animated by priests. Meaning we are around this statue in our world, but God is God. God is God for the animals. God is God for the plants. God is God for the stones. The angels are the virtues. The virtues, everyone doesn't know what it is. They don't know because not everyone has gone beyond the age of 14 years old. So I'm going to come back. But she is enveloped by priests, by pillars that are going to pronounce spoken words from the archangels, because the archangels have spoken and have talked for these 14 years for this statue to make appear the divinity. You have a whole world around it. You have 12 pearls, the circles, you have statues, you have all kinds of individual statues that constitute the body of God and that come so to be that body on earth, to honor it, to give it this devotion, to make it appear. Because if you do not take care of one thing, that thing will disappear. Do you understand? It's very simple what I'm telling you. If you want to eat tomatoes, you have to take care of the tomatoes. If you want to eat beans, you have to take care of these beans. Maybe someone's doing it for you, but in reality, someone has to do it. Because, we don't take care of these tomatoes and beans, well, we won't have them anymore. If you don't take care of knowledge in life and of love, if you do not protect, it's still a necessity to protect. We must be protected. It's things that are very important. It's the basis of life, and we have to understand this. So in reality, we protect the divinity, the virtues, and all of these forces, okay? So there you have the worship. And the worship will be done. Every day on the Essene villages. There will be offerings, spoken words that will be pronounced. And there will be like a worship. And it must appear. It's like a discipline, an art of living. We're not doing this for ourselves, because for us in our physical bodies, what we have called us, what the state of the world of men wanted us to identify to a world, we have no proof of what they have said is true. So they have identified us and gave us a number. But this us, this commercial us that is imposed, well, in reality, we want to make live something, and that will disappear. It is theirs, but we want to live with what is immortal, does not pass, that what stays and is eternal, that what is always true. So it's a whole art of living. This worship that is posed will be linked by the statues to cells that are ultimately the houses of the Essenes. You have Essenes that are priests for the ones that live on the outside of the frontiers, that live in strange earths like Canada, in America. These beings are in an estranged. They are outside. They are submitted to laws that are not ours. They're not the same. You really have to understand what I'm telling you. So, in reality, they are going to be there. And there, in their house, they're going to establish the worship of light. There's going to link and be in correspondence, but it's not going to be exactly the same. Their worship is on the same foundation, but it's not the same. You have the statue of recycling. Then, you have two guardians. You have here the first seal on the earth. And here you have the desk. You have the desk. And here you have the second seal. And you have the statue. And you have the statue on that second seal. And that is a writing. It's a talisman. It's something that is sacred. And for the Essenes that are going to be in this discipline and work, they must have this at home. There you have a whole ray of light that's going to appear, and that's going to explain many things. Because you have the separation of the worlds. You have the prayer of Jesus.
Délivre-nous du mal, ce qui est
Deliver us from
recyclage, ce qui est
evil.
le recyclage.
What is recycling?
Ne nous soumets pas au tentateur,
Do not submit us to the
pardonne
temptation.
l'offense et donne le
Pardon
pain,
our
c'est-à-dire
offenses and give the bread, meaning
l'étude.
study,
Quand l'Essénien
to
va
study.
entrer sur
When
le
the
tapis,
Essene
il va faire cette
enters
discipline.
onto the carpet, the
Il va être toujours
seal, he
conscient
will
qu'il
do
a
this
la statue du
discipline.
recyclage.
He will always be conscious that he
Dans ta
has
vie,
the
tu dois,
statue that
comme a
is
dit
of
Jésus,
recycling
donner à
behind
César ce qui
him.
est à César.
You have to do in your
Donner
life
à Dieu ce qui
what
est à
Jesus
Dieu.
said. Give to Caesar what belongs to
Qu'est-ce qui est
Caesar
à
and give to
César? Je
God
vous ai
what
déjà
belongs to
expliqué, tous
God.
les jours tu vas aux
What belongs to
Et c'est
Caesar?
ça qui est à
I
César.
told
Et ne
you,
croyez pas
every
que
day
c'est
you
rien.
go to the
Parce
to the
qu'en réalité,
bathroom.
ça s'appelle le
And do not
recyclage.
think that it's just
Et ça
nothing,
s'appelle le renouveau
because
de la vie.
it is
Et il y a
named
toujours des
recycling.
déchets dans
It
la
is
vie.
named the
Et tu dois
renewal of
savoir
life.
qu'est-ce
There's
qui est un
always
déchet.
garbage in life.
Et
You
qu'est-ce
must
qui est
know what is
important. Tu dois
garbage
faire la
and what is
séparation. Ça peut
important.
vous paraître
You must do
banal,
the
ce que je vous dis.
separation. It
Mais
can
ça ne l'est pas du tout.
be kind of weird
Il
what
y a
I'm
des
saying,
choses
but
qui
it
sont
isn't.
mortelles et il y a des
There's
choses qui sont
things that are
immortelles.
dead.
Tu dois savoir.
There's things that are immortal.
Et tu dois
You must
être
know this.
capable de laisser
And you
le
must
be
be
mortel derrière
capable
toi et
of
d'entrer
leaving the mortal
dans
behind
l'école,
you,
dans
and to
l'apprentissage,
enter
d'entrer sur un
into the
tapis. C'est toutes
school,
des
into the
attitudes, des
learning,
comportements.
and to
Et je vous en
enter
ai beaucoup
onto
parlé.
your carpet. It's an
Alors, ça
attitude and
devrait
all
être
kinds of
clair,
behaviors, and
très
I've
clair.
spoken
Et
about
là,
this a
tu
lot.
liras
So it needs to
les
be very
psaumes. Quand tu
clear.
lis les
And
psaumes,
there
alors
you
tu es
will
dans la
read the
posture
Psalms. And when you read the
sur la
Psalms,
terre,
you
comme
are in the
ici.
posture
Les
on
psaumes
the
étant
earth,
sur la terre, comme
like in the
Parce que
sky.
quand tu lis les psaumes, c'est les paroles de Dieu et de la
Because
sagesse
when you
qui ont
read
été
these
données.
Psalms, it is
Parce que nous
spoken
devons
words of
vivre avec
God's and of
sagesse et pas
knowledge that have
avec.
been given, because we must live with knowledge
Et il y
and
aura la
not
statue,
with
il y aura des
nothingness
flammes à allumer,
or
le
with
culte est en
darkness.
train de
There will be
commencer.
statues and
Et cette statue devra être
flames that
voilée,
you must light,
et tu
and
devras
this
la
worship is
dévoiler pour
starting to
l'honorer,
appear,
lire un psaume
and it
devant elle,
must
mais
be
jamais tu
veiled,
devras rien lui demander.
and you must
Et tu
unveil
ne
it to
devras
be
pas
able to
demander à la
to read
lumière
your
ce qui
Psalms.
appartient au
You
recyclage et à la
mustn't
mort.
ask to the
Tu dois
light
vraiment
what
être
belongs to
éduqué.
recycling and
C'est une
death.
éducation.
You really
Et
must
quand
be
nous allons
educated.
faire
It's
ces
an
temps,
education.
alors nous allons faire
And
du
when we were
relief.
going to do
Et
this
toutes les
temple,
maisons des
we're
Esséniens
going to do
vont devenir
reliefs.
des temples
And all
du
of the
culte
Essene
de la lumière.
villages will
Et nous
become
allons
temples
amener de
of the
nouvelles
worship of
images
light. And we
mentales
will
dans le
bring
monde.
new
Une
images,
nouvelle
new
vision,
mental images in
une
the
nouvelle
world.
façon de regarder
A
la
new
vie, de
vision,
regarder le
a
monde,
new way
de
of looking
nouvelles
at
forces
life,
en
a new way of
réalité
looking
dans
at the world,
l'atmosphère.
new
Parce que nous
forces
devons
in reality,
équilibrer les ténèbres.
in the
Parce que c'est
atmosphere,
le rôle des
because we
prêtres de
must
la lumière
balance
d'équilibrer,
darkness,
sinon
because
c'est
it's
la
the
grande
role of
catastrophe qui va
priests
arriver,
to
parce
balance
qu'il y
all of
aura un
this. If not, it's the
désordre.
great catastrophe that will come,
Alors
because
c'est
there will
toute
be an
une étude.
unbalance.
Maintenant,
So, it's a whole study. Now, It's ancient symbols, eh? You can see on the Egyptians the family of Akhenaton underneath the blessing of the sun with its rays. And for us, the Essenes, the family, the houses are sacred. I explained this to you. The house is greater than yourself. Of course, if you live in diaspora, the house belongs to government. It doesn't belong to you. And at that moment, you don't really have a body. In that house, it will leave. But if you start to live in an Essene village, then we're going to speak of a family house, and really of a body. So there is like a ray, and the family is very important, very, very important, because the family is the beginning of life. And I explain this to you. You have the child and the parents. Because it is the cycle. It is this cycle that's going to be in all of these Essene houses. And it's the cycle of life where you come like a child. And here, well, there are parents. And then you will rise because there's parents and continuation. And in reality, the parents, community, and in reality, the director, the chief. But what is a chief? A mother or father of a family. In reality, we must live with our heart and with love. There can be bad parents. It's not a judgment or a critique, but it is a truth. There can be bad chiefs. And ultimately, there is going to be an influence on the child. What is the child? The highest that you can attain when you are a child, you have the physical body. You have the will, the desires, aspirations, the heart, the emotions, and then you have the thought. The thought is the highest that man can attain, is to think. Why? That is why there are circles of study in the first aspects of life. That's why when you rise on the carpet, you enter into a school. It's not something just like that. I explained this to you and taught this to you. Now we must multiply ourselves. There must be teachers, professors. You must learn how to rise on a carpet. You must enter into practice. It now has to become concrete to rise on a carpet. It's not just anything like for us, the Essenes. We activate our writing by doing this. I'm telling you that studying is an obligation. An obligation. For us, the Essenes, you must study. And every day you must study in your whole life. And without stop, go towards knowledge and not towards darkness. What is to study? To study is the first steps of life, and then you enter into the carpet. Because for Jesus, his prayer is so beautiful. He's starting by what is bad. Why? Because you have a frontier. You can put it here also. It is the earth. I am on the earth. But below the earth is decomposition, is recycling. It is Caesar. It is everything that belongs to death. Everything that will go on the earth and fall on the earth will be devoured. It's a great belly. She devours everything and recycles everything and digests everything. If you look at a seed, sun sends the seed. It comes from the sun. Wheat, corn, what you want to. And she will go underneath the earth. Deliver me from evil. As soon as she has touched what is dark, you have to awaken. We are on the earth to meet darkness. Jesus has said, on earth you will suffer. It is inevitable. And Jesus is a great wise man and a sent being from God. And his spoken words are truth. And Buddha has said the same thing. Keep courage. I have vanquished suffering. I vanquished recycling. But there has to be a separation of the worlds. A separation. You must study. You must study The world of men, with his universities, his schools, and his scientists, have no interest to us. And it's not at all examples of studying. And when I'm speaking of studying, I'm not speaking of this studying, not of their universities. They have don't have the same goals as us. They have other goals, and you must know it. It must be without any doubt. You must know how to study so that there is no doubt. I'm signaling to you that you must maintain mastering and awakening of your consciousness. Awakening of your consciousness meaning the center, the desk, where you pose yourself and pose the Evangel, the Bible of the archangels. That is the most high that we can attain. Before it was the Torah, the Bible, the Quran, the Tao Te Ching, like you want to, the law of the great life. But it isn't a law that is written, because the heart is always superior. Our life does not depend on books. Our life depends of individuals that are well educated, not of books. You can have the best text of all the worlds, in all the world, and be a traitor to his spoken words. No? It must be clear. Clear. It isn't easy. Do we judge? No, we don't judge. We are priests, but it must be clear. It isn't that simple. And when you enter onto the carpet, it must be clear. It's a whole discipline, a whole art of living. It's the law of God. So you have the sun, and the seed comes from the sun, and she goes down. The child descends. It touches what is dark. The seed enters into the earth, and she must rise from the earth to flourish and to go back towards its origin, and even do seeds again in the cycle of life that will never stop. So it won't stop for the minerals or the plants or the animals, but man, he can go towards the superior worlds. He is the real seed, because man, he can, but what means but by the awakenment of his thought. When you look at a child, well, you see that the child will awaken his thought. Well, it'll take a certain amount of time to awaken his thought. He is in the center of the belly, the child, and the cord that he is nourished by. That child has no thoughts. He only has envies and pleasures and non-pleasure. He learns by pleasure just as much as he does by suffering. He learns the same. He learns what is good and what isn't. He will taste things. He will put everything in his mouth, because there's nothing that is dirty. It is cultural, all of this. We will teach him culturally. The child will influence that, the parent will influence that child and give him a soul of life. Then after, you have the 14 years old, where the being will awaken to his emotions. But at 14 years old, you don't have a thought. Then you have you're 21 years old, and then we must say the truth. There's very few people on earth that will attain 21 years old. Very, very few. And at 21 years old, you will start to have a thought and to be structured in the thought. And when you arrive at 28 years old, there is the consciousness that appears. You come to the desk, and I can guarantee you that 21 years old, you are on the carpet of school, and you start to reflect, but it's very rare. For us, it needs to be evident. It needs to be something that is mastered. We have to go towards this education. And then you have the consciousness. The consciousness, she will make you appear forces. Look at the spoken word of Jesus. Jesus said badness, the darkness, temptation, meaning forces that will trap you, that will deter you, that will take you and steal from you. And then he says the offense. Why? Because the offense, it is an agriculture. Because if you make an offense, a temptation is to steal. I'm meaning, my friend, in the world, here there are people that steal. That's what Jesus says. And above the ones that steal, you have beings that will generate an offense, meaning ultimately they will generate a debt. A debt. And I'm doing something that I mustn't do. I'm offensing you. It's a debt I must repair. And after he speaks of food and what gives you, give the bread. But only God can give us bread. I must depend on him because it's the divinity. But of no man I must depend on. I am a father of a family. I will not make sure that my children will depend on me. I want to make them autonomous and free. Liberty is precious. Liberty is what we must give to one another. And no man, woman, animal must be brought into enslavement. It's the law of God. But isn't it because the God said it? No, it's a law of aesthetics, of the angels, of the heart. We must be governed by the angels, but by no man. No man is great. Man is only an envelope. It's only like the seed of wheat that is enclosed into a world. Try to understand the comparisons. So you have the bread, and the bread is above. You have consciousness, and then you have the destiny. Well, it's very rare. It's very, very rare. Very rare that a man takes a consciousness of his thoughts. If you really see your thoughts, then you see that in reality that your thoughts are spirits, are memories, and superior worlds. And you have man that only is an instrument of worlds. I can guarantee you that, for example, the English know this, but to a degree. Why? Because the English already have a greater dignity because it's a royalty, but the French and Americans are Republicans, and Republicans means that they steal. They're stealers, beings that have no credibility in front of the spirits. But Oliver, what are you saying? We have not been educated like this. Well, you have to be neutral. You just have to see. There's no problem, but it is a truth what I'm telling you. And look at the goods and all of these things, and you'll see. Is it bad? No, you have to just relax. You have to accept the world the way it is. But in reality, if you do not see things, then you are in illusions. If you are in illusions, you have not brought the energy of the body, of what lives inside of the body, your emotions, just to the thought, just to the study, to clarity, to consciousness and discernment, comprehension, and you haven't done yourself a body, and at that moment you are weak. Look. Look at the psalm of the archangel. Understand. Before we couldn't imagine. But now it's starting to appear. What couldn't we imagine? Well, we thought that the archangel was speaking to us. But even I was in this illusion. I was in this illusion. In the middle of us, I was in this illusion of thinking. He is putting the desk down, and that I put this down. It's a talisman. Automatically. Automatically, there's a spirit that will come. It's automatic. And the more we're going to be conscious of this, the more it's going to be done. We're entering into another world systematically. Because as soon as you've done it, it's like the prayer of Jesus, like the earth and the sky. I'm in the bread. Automatically behind me there is temptation and the statue of recycling. And automatically I pronounce for the statue of light that is in front of me, meaning God inside of me, in you, in all the animals and all beings. Because as soon as I pronounce a psalm, I'm at the service of God. The archangels have never pronounced the psalms for us, but for God, so that He can appear on earth and He can be honored. Look at what the archangel said. Humans are reactive. They react to life. In many circumstances, they are contempt of reacting, but they are not wise, even thinkers, or wise of life. Life, the beginning, the thought, to the goal. 0, life. 21 years old, thought, man, have not been educated.
Et donc, ils voient des choses et ils réagissent comme des enfants. Ils voient une
They see
cerise,
things and they react like children.
touche pas.
They see a
Ils voient
cherry,
ça, ils voient
do
ci.
not touch.
Mais ils ne
They
sont pas
see
capables
this
d'avoir
and
un
that,
discernement, d'être clairs,
but
d'être posés, de
they
comprendre
can't
le monde
have
dans
a
lequel ils
discernment
sont.
to be clear, pose, and to understand the world that they live
La
in.
destinée des hommes n'est que le fruit de
The
leur
destiny of
réaction à
man
certains événements
is
qui les
only the
modèrent.
fruit of their
Les dirigent.
reaction of
Alors,
certain
je vais être clair.
events that direct them.
La destinée.
I'm going to be clear,
Donc la
okay? The
destinée,
destiny,
c'est
the
au-dessus
destiny
du pain,
is
de la
above
conscience, c'est le monde des
the
anges.
bread of consciousness, is the world of
Mais qui est
angels.
conscient de sa destinée?
But who is conscious of his
Il y a des
destiny?
forces qui nous dirigent. Et en
And
fin
the
de compte, nous
forces
sommes
that
comme
direct us.
dans des réactions.
And ultimately,
Parce que
we are
comprenez-le,
like
vous
in
avez le
reactions,
monde
because
du
understand very
recyclage
well, you
sous
have
nos
the
pieds.
world of recycling underneath our feet.
Après, vous avez un monde qui s'élève du recyclage avec
After,
une
you have a
frontière.
world that
Vous
rises
avez
this,
l'inconscience
from this
profonde,
recycling, like a
l'inconscience.
frontier. You have
Et
the
après, vous
profound
avez
unconsciousness,
conscience
and
qui
then you
commence à
have
apparaître, et ici, vous avez la
consciousness that is starting
lumière
to
éternelle. Mais la
appear,
lumière,
and
elle
here
ne
you
peut
have
pas
the eternal
traverser
light.
cette frontière.
But the light
La
here, she
lumière, elle règne
cannot
par
cross this
l'intelligence.
frontier. The light reigns by
Le règne de la
intelligence.
lumière, c'est l'intelligence.
The
Et le
reign
règne en
of
dessous,
light
le
is
règne des ténèbres,
intelligence,
c'est la bêtise.
and the reign
Il
that
y a une
is below
frontière.
this is
Et après, tu vas
darkness.
descendre dans des
There's a
degrés de bêtise.
frontier, and you
Là,
will
tu vas être moins
descend
idiot,
in degrees of
et là, tu vas
darkness.
l'être
Here you will be less than an idiot,
énormément.
and there you will be
Pourquoi l'archange dit
enormously.
ça? Pour protéger Dieu. Mais de
Why
qui?
does
Mais
the
de nous.
archangel say to
Mais de
protect
nous.
God? But from who? But from us.
Les humains sont des réactifs de la vie. Hop, un attentat à Paris.
People, humans react to
Un
life.
attentat, mais ils sont méchants, les
Oh.
gens. Oh, ben c'est méchant, c'est ballot, c'est méchant.
Oh,
Vous avez eu
it's
des Esséniens
bad to do this.
qui
You
ont
have
commencé
Essenes
à dire, oh,
that
et
have
ils ont
started to
soutenu
say,
cet élan de
oh,
solidarité.
they sustained
Ils sont des réactifs
this
de la vie. Dans bien des
solidarity.
circonstances,
They
ils sont
are
capables de
reacting
réagir.
to life in
Pas
many
un attentat, et ça y est, on
circumstances that
réagit.
are
On se pose
contempt
pas de
in
questions. Qui a fait
reacting.
cet attentat? Pourquoi?
Oh,
Qui est
we
derrière?
don't
Qui sont réellement
ask
les
questions. Who has
responsables? Et
has
ainsi
done
de
this
suite. Un
temptation?
Essénien,
Who
il
are
doit savoir
responsible
toutes
of
ces
all
choses.
this?
Mais Olivier,
An
est-ce qu'on doit
Essene must
s'occuper
know
de
all
ça?
of this.
Non, tu dois
Oliver,
pas
we
forcément
must
t'en
we
occuper, c'est de la
occupy
politique. Mais
this?
en
No,
réalité, c'est
we
ce que
must
je vous ai
not.
dit.
It's
Normalement,
like
les femmes ne font pas
politics,
politique,
but
ni
in
même les
reality, what
hommes,
I said,
parce qu'il y a des dirigeants qui le
women
font. Mais
don't
tu ne
really do
dois
politics,
pas
and even men, but their directors have
t'occuper
done
de ce
this.
qui ne
But
te regarde
you must
pas.
not
Ça
occupy
ne te
of what
regarde pas.
you don't,
Et
it
si tu
doesn't
t'en
look at
occupes,
you
alors tu
or what
réagis,
doesn't
mais ça
belong
prend
to
tes
you.
yeux.
And
Et
when
vous avez
you
un monde qui est derrière, qui est
you
en train de
occupy
se
this and it takes your
nourrir.
eyes, and you have a
Et
world that
si
is
en plus tu
behind
montes sur
all
le
of this that
tapis
is
de la
nourishing
prière
itself.
et
And
que
if
tu
you
décolles la
rise
statue et que
on
tu dis je prie
the
pour Paris, pour tous les
on the prayer,
là tu viens de faire une
on
offense à
the
Dieu.
carpet of
La
prayer,
porte se ferme et c'est fini.
then you are
Mais alors c'est
offensing
pas bien de
God,
prier. Non, c'est pas bien
and the
d'emmener
door
la
will
lumière
close.
dans la
It's not
bêtise.
good to pray? No, it's
Tu
not
dois
good
amener
to
la
bring the
lumière dans
light
des
in
bases de
darkness.
sagesse,
You must
d'étude,
bring the light
de
in
compréhension.
basis
Quand
of
tu ne comprends pas
knowledge,
une
of
chose, tu la
study,
comprends
of
pas. Tu
comprehension.
l'étudies
When you do
jusqu'à la
not
comprendre et
understand
tu te fais
something,
un corps.
you will
Mais sinon,
study
tu
it
t'en
until you
occupes pas et tu ne
understand
t'occupes
it,
pas
and
des
then you
choses
make
que tu ne
yourself a
comprends
body.
pas. Et tu ne
Either,
prends pas
and you
un
don't
avis parce
occupy
que
things that you
sinon,
don't understand, and you don't take a
la destinée
side,
des hommes n'est que le fruit de leur
because
réaction à certains
destiny of
événements qui
man
les
is
modèlent, les
only
dirigent,
fruit
les
of
orientent à
certain
leur insu.
behaviors that they have done
Ils sont prisonniers
and
de
orients
l'enchaînement des
them.
causes et des
They are
effets.
prisoners
Devant chaque
of
circonstance, ils
cause and
s'empressent de
effect
trouver une
in front
solution
of
suivant les
any
modèles qui leur ont été
circumstances.
inculqués
They
dans
want
leurs
to take
écoles.
solutions in
Les
front of
écoles du monde
modules
des hommes
that have
ne
been
sont
given
pas
to
les
them from
écoles
their
esséniennes.
schools.
Les Esséniens
The
veulent être
models and the
fidèles à Dieu
schools
et
of
à
the
la
world of
religion de
men
Dieu,
are
à la
not
science de
the
Dieu,
one of
au
knowledge.
climat social de Dieu, à l'économie
Essenes
de Dieu.
are at the science of
Et en fin de
God,
compte, ne
of the
veulent pas
economy
faire
of
d'offense
God,
à Dieu.
and
Et
ultimately
veulent
they don't
respecter les
want
lois de Dieu,
to make an
qui sont les
offense to
lois des
God,
yeux,
and they
des
want to
oreilles, du
respect
cœur, et qui
the
sont les lois
laws
de la
of
famille, de la
God,
propriété
the
familiale,
respect
de la propriété privée,
of the
du
house,
respect
of
de
the family,
l'individu, de la
of
souveraineté
the
de
respect of the
l'individu dans sa
individual,
maison.
of the sovereignty
Comprenez,
of the
des lois
individual
simples.
in his house. Do you understand?
Et en fin de
Laws that are
compte,
simple.
vous avez des êtres qui se sont
And
détournés de la
ultimately,
loi de Dieu.
you have beings that have
Et ces
determined
êtres, en fin de
themselves from
compte,
this law of God.
ils sont
And these
perdus.
beings,
Et tu ne dois pas
they
suivre
are
un être
lost.
perdu. De même que
And
tu
you
peux
must
avoir un
not
père de
follow someone
famille
that is lost. like you can have a father from a family that is completely lost, and at that moment, he will bring his whole family to be lost. And then you have beings that are lost, and you have beings that do crimes. And at that moment, you can say, yes, she is sympathetic and lovable, but she does crimes, and you must not associate themselves with them because it can be dangerous. There's a whole world behind all of this. It's not possible for an Essene to enter into this world. If you enter into this world, then you will be in recycling. And you cannot even rise onto the carpet in the school of God with thoughts of helping Paris, for example. And you must not even unveil the statue or say a prayer. For these things, you must be wise, be posed, and have the answers. You must pray for victims that are innocent, but you must do it with a comprehension that is clear, because nothing will replace knowledge. The worship of light is light. The light is knowledge. It has nothing to do with darkness. And then men will reunite themselves. You see the totalitarianism that is starting to appear that will sustain all of these ideas? Go sustain it. Through your education, a certain intelligence have asked you to always have an immediately a solution in any circumstance. Because if not, it will make you understand that you cannot live on earth. We want the answer all right away, but there are things that take time. I have taken many years to understand certain things. If you wanted the answer right away, it wasn't possible. When an information is presented to you, you are reactive. You find a solution, and you start to act. A certain attitude can be beneficial, but the great weakness of man is not to be educated into knowledge. You have the whole psalm. You see that there are certain things that happen like this. Do you see the stupidity of humans? Are you conscious of this? For example, of the French. They are in a war, but they are there and they are having fun because it's not their territory. The Americans are in a war. The Americans in a war, it's enormous. It's calamity. Without any with so much conflict. I don't know, study. If you really want to interest yourself to this, then study. It has nothing to do with the religion of God. But you must not bring a world of darkness in the Essene nation. It's not possible. The Essene nation has its own frontiers, and we have no link with these worlds. It's worlds of darkness. After, you have films that have done by Hollywood that have shown us that the war of Vietnam, of Afghanistan with Al-Qaeda that has been financed by the Americans. Do you understand? You have the Congress, you have people, you have thoughts. It's very easy to educate yourself. And you see that it's Americans with time. It's that Europeans are vessels of America, and that ultimately these beings have created illegal things, meaning they have ultimately forced families and people to bow in front of these activities. And after, they gave them terrorism, the war in Iraq. Okay? It needs to be clear. And if we really want to react to the attacks of Paris, then you have to stop the President Obama and the President of Holland to go against these people and to give them the only thing that you can do immediately. If you think that these people are going to go and have bombs on this for God, well, no one does this, and God doesn't want this, and everyone knows this. In the Quran, it's said that God is full of love. I explain this to you. I would be the first one to have a bomb on me, to bombard my people, to insult me, to degrade me without stop. in an act of despair, because it's still a thing to bombard a country with taxes that are paid, or either to go and put a bomb on yourself. Who do you know? Who does this? They are full of despair, full of hate. And who does this? And who armed them? And who financed them? It must be clear. If there's one thing that must be done, it's if you think that I'm the one that's saying it, experts are saying it also. Why are they stopping it? Because it's a band. They are the same. They are defending the same interests. And when I'm saying that President Hollande is the same one, the one before that, and Chirac in Iraq had defended that. You have seen the pressure, international pressure against the French? Our father, Michael, said, no war. It started with the first war with Adolf Hitler. It's just a story of banks. It had nothing to do with all of this. It was just to bring another order with banks. All of this are offenses to God. And if you start to sing for Paris, then sing for Syria, sing for Colonel Gaddafi and all these people, because they are the same. And you must not divide a people for another people or another country. No children is superior to another's, or all people superior to different people. And in reality, God refused that we make profits. That's what I tried to explain to you, but you don't really understand. Because I told you that we had given money in Haiti and that we had taken it away from the banks. We won $4,000 from in the exchange. Do you see the temptation? What is bad temptation? Because you will not make money with speculation. You will work. The work is sacred. These beings,
c'est clair? Mais alors Olivier, tu as une vision sombre du monde. Mais non,
is it clear? Well, Oliver, you have a dark vision of the world. No. I do not put shit on the table. I have no problem with all of that. Am I sad because there's innocents that are dead in Paris when they were really celebrating? Of course I'm sad. What do you want me to tell you? Am I going to pray for people to be in peace? Yes, but what do you want to pray for people, for the father that is prostituting his child and stealing and making crimes? And well, this father is the chief of state in organizing all of this. What do you want me to tell you? There's only God that is important. That's why I'm telling you that I'm protecting you of all of this. And there, even by speaking of this, because if you're starting to go into this, the spirits, the genies will trap you and they will bring you in their world. And in this world, there's nothing. Look at the men. They're starting to celebrate. And it's the same and it's the same ones that are celebrating. Come on. Leave all of this behind you. Do not even occupy you. Organize yourself in your world so that it doesn't touch you. And you must make the light appear, beauty in your life. You must liberate yourself from these worlds. And I'm guaranteeing you that Essenes are starting to make initiatives for Paris and all the logos that they have done. Do you understand that it's just darkness? It's just people, forces of the heart that are determined. It's profanation. It is black magic. It's everything that you want to. It's the art of taking everything that is most beautiful into a human and to turn it to what is ugly. You will not kill. You will not kill. End of story. War is not good. It's a crime. Oliver, you're in a utopia. No, it's an education, it's an art of living. But it's become a banality today, and it's fundamental, it's incredible how everything is stolen, and the people that are happy are going to celebrate. No, you're not going to live for your body and everything else. All of that must be put on the outside of you. Never you must ride on a carpet of Niacenes like this, or you don't rise. Or you must be educated, you must have a clear discernment. And in your personal life, you must know where goes your thoughts. It's impossible for an Essene that does something like this. Impossible. Impossible.
Ce n'est pas possible.
It's not possible.
On ne peut pas être associé à ce monde-là.
We cannot be associated to this world.
Mais je vous dis qu'on peut prier
in any matter.
La paix,
I can say that we can pray for peace for the victims, but more we will be strong. A new world must appear. Have you heard the spoken words of God? It's not a man that have pronounced this. The Archangel Michael said, no more war. War is illegal. There is nothing to discuss. If they want to make a war, they just have to hit on one another. The chief of states, they can hit each other, a dignity, by boxing. It becomes funny. We can make a pizza around it. Okay? We're going to see. We do not see anyone to serve technology to do war in our place or to take fire and to hurt someone. Fire is a being that is full of dignity. We ask his advice. If not, there's no respect. And people that are not well educated, and we do not hurt beings, we live with God. We open our heart and we live with our heart. We do not depossess all the people or the countries. These people will be able to go through it because they have gone against their country. We do not bombard families or civilians. We do not kill children, either women. No. We do not torture.
Sinon, on est là-dedans.
If not, we are in this. We are here.
Là, c'est de la perversion énorme.
There is perversion, enormous perversion. There, the sun doesn't care. The light is eternal, is there. The people is completely maintained in hate. And they say without any intelligence or consciousness, yes, we have to go and hurt them, but they are not educated at all. No one sees that it's a misery and that we have now we're in a barbaric actions. These things must not enter with the Essenes. It doesn't enter without their symbols, even with the Eiffel Tower. What is all of this? Let's start by stopping the chief of states, the real ones that are against all of this. The Christians, the king, because he said that we will recognize our disciples with the ones that have love. We want to live with love. Yes, but you are the ones that are in utopia. No, not at all. We must live, and we know that life isn't easy, and there's conflicts, and that God is God. We have the physical body. Here. Thoughts, emotions, will, act. That must be mastered in dignity.
Aucun sectarisme.
No sectarianism.
Une éducation universelle.
An education that is universal. An education that is going towards the other. Not an education in fear, Auriel. Be free of fear. Free of fear. You have to have a sacred mastering of all of this. And here you have the intermediate world, meaning the real world, the life after death, with the spirits of genies. And there you will live again and again the same things until you have awakened knowledge and you have perceived and gone through the subtle worlds. and superior worlds.
Alors j'entends
Okay?
des êtres qui me disent
So I listen to beings that are saying, yes, but a certain man is very sympathetic. Yes, well, don't you think that, well, you meet people that are sympathetic, yes, but behind all of that, it isn't sympathetic what they're doing.
Donc on ne peut pas s'associer à ça.
So we can't associate ourselves with this. What do you believe? That you have a bad chief of state, a bad principle that is governing you? Stalin, Lenin, Mao Zedong, who was dictatorship, Franks, the ones that are direct. Then you have Obama, Hollande, and all, today, and they are dictators that are hidden. Everything, they lie. They say, no, we're not going to kill anyone. No, it's for peace. I touch it without touching it. But they touch it in reality. But they always make believe that. So, do not be in a reaction. Be beings that are educated. And when you are educated, you always know that you have garbage. And you leave this world of garbage behind you. And you enter into a new world. Nicene nation is a new world. We have nothing to do with that world. Are we against this world? Do we have a mission to transform them? No, not at all. We must just take care of God. For us, everything is perfect. This world is perfect, and they will harvest what they have seeded. If you associate yourself with them, you will be obligated to harvest, because it's an offense to the intelligence, an offense to God, even to sing. If you want to sing, make concerts, these beings are being... Are they in a good faith? Yes. Well, they can do concerts for peace, for justice, for truth, but not like that, for a way of reacting like children. Because it will nourish forces that are dark, with good intentions. Humans are reactions in their life. In many circumstances, there are contempt in reacting, but they are not wise, thought, or wise of life. Knowledge will show you a global plan to conduct all the energy towards something that is durable. Energy must never be lost. It is the money of life. Ultimately, if you go towards this sense, you open something, and you spend, and you do not give knowledge, you're not with calm, you're not with the angels. It's funny because they are asking for solutions to the ones that have generated the problem. It's enormous, don't you find? It's even funny, don't you find? And, oh, help us so that we can take these people away. Oh, I'm going to vote for the laws. I'll vote for laws. Come on, give them to me. And I'm going to even more put you in a box. God is God. God is God. And God does not descend in these worlds. He does not take care of septic tanks, and He is not in this world. All of His people that are suffering. There is a responsibility that is collective, because ultimately we have a collective life, and that we are paying taxes on the fruit of our work. That is a total crime, because with our work, with our family, with our children, with our earth, with our ancestors, we are doing things that are ignoble. The politics, and really a control. There's proof, really, that it's only religion that can guide you, and that traitors exist. It is there. Darkness, the counter virtues. It's even valuable for Christianity. They have gone against Christ, and in the end, they were entrapped by all these forces that deter you. And in the end, it's all the Christianity that have fallen, and then they have lost their souls. The worship of life must never be. There has to be teachers, it needs to be clear, it needs to be postures. You must not trait the spirits of genies and egregores. It must be clear, and you must be formed and educated in all your centers to rise on that carpet. I think that this prayer of the Archangel can be, the psalm with this example can take a new value, and you must understand that it's really concrete, and then in reality you must protect God and protect the future generations, the children, and all these things, of these forces that want to infiltrate and that they are powerful. The world of men will stay on the exterior of the Essene nation. We will not question this. I do not question war, torture, or even killing a child, or conspiracies to steal beings. Yes, I was in exile of politics. Yes, but you understand, because today they stop ecologists to speak. They can't even do anything. I wasn't allowed to speak. They did it to me also, or to write. In France, it is the country of freedom of speech and of writing. And they were saying what I was saying or writing isn't good. Yes, I understand, but it depends on the point of view. Only the one that is educated in knowledge can understand why something is happening, and to control this towards something that is wise and good. All of this is telling me that only God is good, and that man is weak, and only the religion of God is protecting us, and that in reality, only practice, and I'm telling you, there is nothing on earth, nothing, apart the Essene nation. That's what I see. And all the other paths are closed. And these beings will go right to the end of their foolishness. And all the beings are applauding because there's no other intelligence. There's no means of resisting anymore. It's terrible. You have professionals that really are saying, but they can't go further. There's no more solutions. Think of your future by being conscious of the present, of what has come from the past. And if you really want to take your life and your Essene nation in your hands, you will write on the earth a wisdom, a writing that is full of knowledge and that will guide the future generations. I only read a few things here and there, but everything is full of knowledge in this. It's a comfort to read this. And after, you can rise and say, oh, we have made mistakes in life, many of them. My question, Father, how can we be efficient if we meet tests in life, and that the necessity of life is making us take our life in our own hands? But yes, doesn't it just pop up that it's the French government that is responsible of all of this? The France was loved just like Canadians, and they were estimated by Canadians. There's a great history of peace and of honesty. But we are destroying everything because the Americans, but not the Americans, the people. Because the Americans are generous and full of gentleness. But a small handful of directors that have been associated themselves with darkness. And they're doing acts in the name of everyone with politics and philosophies that are bad and full of profit on the on the back of everyone and of the people, to destroy work, to destroy families, to destroy life that is beautiful on earth. It's horrible, all of these things. And only to bring confusion, to have more power, to have more power of manipulation. Look at all of their projects of the Americans. It circulates. You can see all of this if you study and go right to the end. To invade the world, to take away all the culture, to take everything, to survey everything, to control everything, to bring with culture confusion in your thoughts. It's incredible if you look at all of these texts. Men do not study. Archangel answers, meditation must be a teaching and a quality of life. Study, meditation, understanding, observation is a base. Nothing will just happen like this. There's reasons for this. You have to look at the spirits and open your consciousness. There is the worship of light. It is a state. It's a behavior that is calm and posed. By your study and your meditation, you can enter into this capacity and look at the three worlds of the past, the present, and the future. Look at the beginning, the future of these acts, and you will see the totalitarianism. Police everywhere, army everywhere, poverty, dictation. Control, absolute control of everything, the multiplication of criminality. You always have to understand why you must act and where you want to conduct the energy, the soul. It's very simple that I want to go towards a certain destination, but it's very simple even to go to. But what is just is to do it by accompanying your body, the aura, the intelligence, and all their aspects in a relation that is just between them. That's where we must go into this world without losing your soul, because the soul is superior to the body and to everything, and we must live this way. And I see that the worship of light will be perfection of all perfections. And you will see that we're going to have a model of government. And before taking any decision in your life, you must present yourself in front of the statue of recycling. You must be in this space of intermediate space. She must be behind you. You must be in front of the guardians of God. Your eyes aren't anything, just anything. Your ears aren't just anything. And then you must enter into the school of wisdom. And you must say that all the beings that are not in knowledge and are usurped must go behind you. There must be no doubt in front of you. You must make a body of mastering of your eyes. You must let no one tell you how to think. And you must not be guided only by people that are telling you how to live. And then you must rise and pronounce these words. I'm telling you, no war. That is the dignity of man. Jesus had said it, deliver me from what is evil. Deliver me of evil. Do not hurt anyone, neither to the animal. And then it's to live like a soul. With an intelligence and with straightness. And in the world, with your body, you're only passing through. You must not bring garbage, suffering, and all of these things. We have entered into a world where beings are exposing themselves. Do you understand? Do you see this? And these beings, they don't want to kill individuals, but it's these chiefs that have plated us, this suffering that we have done to the other in our name. And now they're killing innocent people that have nothing to do with all of this, and it has nothing to do with their religion. We must be very clear. It's just suffering and despair, and it's something to come to all of this. I can understand it because I had this French state that was on me, and I can tell you that it's hurtful. That beings that are the representation of authority, and they're against you, and they can do anything to stop you. Oh, I can guarantee you that you have pressure on you. They aren't funny. These words aren't funny. They're not laughing. I can imagine in countries, I'm telling you, because for us in Canada here, we are preserved. But tomorrow, if you have Iraq's, Liberia's that are still here and bombard us and tell us how we must live and think and how we must raise our children. No, but wait, who must tell us to change religion or culture? Who is killing us? Who is bombarding us? Who is giving us this war, bringing all of this? What do you think we're going to do? What will you do? Do you see what is bad? We must not bring these worlds in the Essene nation. And I'm sorry to be a little bit heavy, but it's to protect you that I'm telling you all of this. You must not associate yourself with these worlds. You must not even go look for solutions. You must not even go ask them how to do this. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. It's like you're asking to the mafia how to be honest. I was going to tell you, well, it's enormous. Well, do you know who I am? Well, are you stupid to that point? If you want to be honest, you must go towards God. You must preserve your life. It's happiness, the family, the houses, your relations with our friends, our surroundings, to govern your life. You will recognize a great king, a true king, in the sense that he will give you his royalty. When you are in front of a real chief, a real king, there's no president. All of that is ridiculous. When you see a king, you know that you are really in front of a king because he is transmitting his royalty. And you become royal in his contact. You become more free. But if it's a dictatorship, then you become more enslaved, more confused, more enslaved, more mediocre, more towards the below. That's all. It's in simple. We recognize a tree by his fruit. By his fruit. Point. It's clear. Do not associate yourself with these worlds, please. And do not bring them in the Essene nation. It has nothing to do with us. For us, the Essenes, we are entirely turned towards the future, and we will make appear beauty, splendor, greatness, dignity. And when people are going to taste at our restaurant our food, they will be awakened. They will have no hate, no hatred, and they will say to these people, it's done. You will go do this and that, but you have nothing to tell me. And war is not, bad is not, ignorance is not, darkness isn't either. And we must all work and rise. Speculation isn't either. And all of these things is no. And ultimately, it's simple. It's work, dignity, it's honor. It's the passage of life on earth. We can't just do anything, but we cannot hurt someone because we must live with our heart. There. We must live with our heart, with our soul, and with these things. And there's no being that is inferior. And we must not hurt anyone. It's evident. Of course, when we are powerful, it's evident. There. I will always be there to rise, to straighten, if you want to enter things into the Essene nation, and you have the psalm. Put everything into this worship of light. Let us make appear something. Let us appear something that is great, that is noble, enthusiastic for beauty, that will protect all beings. Something that is greater than anything. Even we can make appear barbarity, and we can make appear beauty, greatness, splendor, that will rejoice all beings and conduct them towards happiness. I'm wishing you a beautiful Sunday and a magnificent week.